Thank you so much, everyone, for coming through, and thank you, Sakhile, for responding to the invite and honoring our invites. First of all, I'd like to thank our partners, which is the American Embassy. I'd like to thank Swazi Lounge, who has assisted us in planning the event and everything that pertains to planning and all the interactions that we've been seeing. And I would like to thank the Yahweh merchandise as well, losita ngema-gifts ema-guest ethu. And thank Imagine Photography, as you have seen, our leader here and our entrepreneur taking pictures, taking videos for the whole event. Having said that, welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here. It was a pleasure hearing what you guys do. As I was walking around, I think you guys can imagine how many times I've introduced myself. So it's always nice to hear who you guys are, what you do, and what you've learned from me. But as you guys know, my name is Sakhile Nkambule. I'm the founder and director of Swazi Jive Entertainment and a number of other entertainment products. I'm also a marketer for a number of corporates, actually, through my brand consulting firm. I work with a number of corporates in different spaces. So in each of the industries I heard you guys talk about, I actually have worked with companies, you know, in the tech industry, in the health and wellness industry, in the tourism industry. My career started in 2008. At the time I was 16, I wasn't really known as somebody. Today I'm an industry expert, a thought leader, and that's what I see you guys as. I see you guys as thought leaders in your different spaces, and you can lead people down your journey, down your path, your consumers. Some of us don't know anything about farming, but we love to exploit the industry or know more. And I consider myself a thought leader for the media industry specifically. As much as I'm involved in all these various industries, I believe my main focus is in the media and entertainment industry, which is probably where most of you guys have heard of me from. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So what inspired you to establish Swazi Jive, and what made you to want to bring this idea into reality?
I think I share a common feeling about Swaziland as everyone in the room in terms of challenges, job opportunities. But that wasn't actually the motivating factor in Nangtali Swazi Jive. I was still very young. I didn't think I'd need a job one day. You know, I was still living with my parents. It wasn't about I'll need a job or I need a job. I didn't have bills to pay for. It was purely out of passion, recognizing that my peers, my friends, my brothers and sisters around me are multi-talented, but there's no platforms. You know, I kept meeting people who could sing, people who could dance, who could design T-shirts, people that could rap, people, you know, that could do very, very cool things. But it always ended on the streets. You know, it always ended, you know, with just that particular moment. And when I turn on the television or listen to radio, I'd hear people doing the same thing and making money and creating careers out of that skill. So I started asking myself, how come we don't do that here? You know, I started sharing that idea with some friends in high school. Luckily, because of our passion for music, a lot of the people that love music were already around us. We were always in the music studio. So I already had a group of people I could share my ideas with, and they were already aligned with music in a sense. And I said, you know, guys, what if all the music we made here, everything we did, we branded it Swazi? Because nobody does that. Do you notice how we have singers from America, singers from South Africa? We have, you guys know celebrities from everywhere else in the world, except here in Swaziland. And everyone's like, yeah, but who's going to do that? You know, who's going to, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And our major shows at the time, Bushfire already had started in 2008. I remember it was like the first Bushfire when I started Swazi Jive. So I had attended that show. I think it was the first time I'd see a large-scale event. It wasn't the big bushfire we know today, but it was like, I could actually do it like this. But instead of inviting all these random people, that's how I saw it, I'm going to develop my own artists and then invite other people to support the locals. Okay. So the vision for Swazi Jive started coming together off of pure passion. There was no business plan. There was no set way or ideas. I want to be clear. I think when people see the business today or see our achievements or how long this journey's been for us, they assume it was all planned out. It wasn't. The reason I'm mentioning this, I'm not saying Startup Grind shouldn't share business plan ideas with people. Okay. I think people then hold back from starting because they don't have a plan. They tend to overthink. And I don't want this talk to be like, I'm not here to pitch an idea to you guys. I want it to be conversational. And I want you guys to be comfortable asking questions even while I'm talking. Okay? Because why I'm saying this, I want you to realize I'm still on that same journey you guys are on, just at a more advanced stage. I haven't stopped. I'm still working. As you'll hear later as we're talking, I'll share some ideas. I'm still figuring some things out. It just happens while I've been on this journey, there were things that worked really well. No different from some of the ideas you're trying right now. I heard some of the farmers talking about diversifying what they are working on instead of specializing. Instead of just focusing on one crop, they want to farm chickens, some maize, something else, because they will de-risk the business if they do that. Swazi Jive is still on that journey in the media entertainment world. I'm still building more products under the same company and trying to de-risk those things. As you'll hear later on, some of you know me specifically for the Hypnotic Festival. That is the riskiest product we have and puts everything else we do at risk. If Hypnotic doesn't go right, Swazi Jive has failed that year. It doesn't matter how many artists we launch successfully. It doesn't matter how much money we've made from corporations that you guys know nothing about. As far as the core audience is concerned, which is the youth, that's another thing. Swazi Jive is youth-centric because it was by us, young people, for us, young people. Naturally, I didn't plan this. Naturally, the brand resonated with other young people. I hope you pick something up from that, And how did I turn my vision into a reality? Prayer. I'll get into this more. It wasn't the business plan. It wasn't my network. It wasn't because I went to school at Waterford. There's many friends I went to school at Waterford that don't have businesses. There's many friends I went to school with that don't have Swazi Jive. People that were from richer families. So I attribute my success to prayer, my prayer life. When I look at what was different between me and my peers when I was starting Swazi Jive, it was purely my dedication to the kingdom. I grew up in a family that told me anything is possible if you believe in Christ. Anything is possible if the Bible is at the center of everything you do. And I didn't realize how that was going to be so important for my life. I won't lie. Going to church, waking up was probably as tiring as it was for each and every one of y'all. But that was the difference. I remember I used to look forward to church on Sundays because I got to pray about Swazi Jive. That's the only thing I wanted to do, I won't lie. I'd wake up, and my parents didn't understand why is Sakhile all of a sudden positive about going to church. Why is he so chuffed? But once I figured the spiritual connection with what I wanted to be and what I was doing, I was like, if this is true, this sounds easy. This sounds easier than raising funds in Swaziland, getting on my knees and praying, I want to build all these big ideas. I want to hire all these people. Let me start by praying about it. So I can't attribute my success to anything else. The vision came to life right in front of my eyes, seeing people buy tickets. I didn't know people were going to buy tickets in those numbers, you know. When I started my first large-scale event, where I started feeling my vision was becoming a reality, was in 2012, after having failed at events for maybe 2 or 3 years before that, where there was back-to-back festival failures. Festivals you guys never heard of because they never got to launch. This was before Hypnotic. I think as entrepreneurs, you guys need to hear this. This is a side the media doesn't get to hear. It's not in the press release that we kept failing. We only highlight the good things in the press releases, right? So it's important you guys know, before there was a Hypnotic, there was a G6 party. We've tried events with Tenderness, who was my friend and who was my artist at the time. And before that, we used to host headcounts, which were more popular youth events as well. And if you had been to the headcount events, which we had done over 2 years, I still didn't feel like my vision was coming to life. But Hypnotic is a derivative of headcount. A head is a person that loves hip hop. So head count is how many people in the room can we count that love hip hop. So it was head count. Hypnotic is a derivative of head count. What we did as head count wasn't fully my vision. There was other people involved, older people than us, corporates that didn't necessarily want to go all out in hip hop because of how risky youth was seen. So I decided to start my own, based on that knowledge, based on my contribution to the Headcount brand. I was like, I know what everyone's scared of. I know why they're not investing in young people. Giving a young person 50,000 rands to come perform their songs isn't something people had planned. No one wanted to give me their money to do that. And the moment I figured out how to do that, getting 100,000 from a corporate and paying my peers 20, 30,000 each to come perform, I started feeling like my vision was turning into reality. So it's tricky because people know Swazi Jive for various things. Some people know Swazi Jive because they love a Swazi Jive artist. They don't love everything else or don't know anything else we do. Some people know Swazi Jive for events. Some people wear our clothes. Some people don't even know we have clothes. You see, so I always learn from the people where they've learned about this story from, this brand, you know. So I'd still say my vision is still coming to light. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe this can also help somebody who is in the room.
Yeah.
Speaking of failures,
Yeah.
Because you can't fail unless you have taken a risk.
Yeah.
What are the risks that you have taken? Maybe it's Swazi Jive or even at Hypnotic,
Yeah.
in your entrepreneurial journey, and how did it pay off?
As I mentioned, large-scale events were the biggest risk. If you're in entertainment, you will learn that doing an event isn't as straightforward. I'll sell tickets, book sound, have some artists. You know, if you're an event manager, you understand how technical an event actually is. And not only did we announce an event, we announced an event that would compete with events across the continent, not just in the country. We wanted to be the premier hip-hop festival in Africa. So the risk of announcing that, there's a reputational risk. Okay, just telling people, this is going to be big. And then everyone's like, let's see if it's going to be big. You know, naturally people are pessimistic. You don't expect everyone to jump up and clap that you had a big dream and big ideas. So the first big risk was actually sharing our intention to bring this hip hop community together at that scale. And then that was followed by the financial risk, where we're going to get the money, how we were going to pay everyone, followed by health risk. Are we even fit enough physically to stay up all these hours every day for the next 3-4 months putting this together? You know, technical risk. Do we have the skill to put this together? We were not trained to do large-scale events. Swazi Jive learned how to do events from me attending events, firstly, during university, during high school. I'd go attend large concerts. I've been to Rihanna concerts, Wiz Khalifa concerts. No one knew I was going to one day host an event, but I knew that I need to learn what's going on here. What's the business? How do you host an artist? You know? So I'd say Hypnotic was one of our biggest risks, shortly followed by the record label. As much as the events were big risk, they were profitable. The way we executed the events, they're very profitable. Artists aren't always profitable. And I'm sure you guys recently have seen a lot of artists and label conflicts because maybe artists aren't getting what they want out of the deal. Then the label will come out and say, you haven't even broken even yet, but you want your money. We went into the industry knowing, firstly, that there is no Swazi hip-hop artist that has made money. We knew this for a fact. We went into it knowing that no one has the ability to generate money because there are no systems. There's no one paying royalties. So before we even say we're developing artists, we knew that the artist has no income stream the way Swaziland is structured. You know, as much as we have Swama, they're a royalty collecting agency, but they're hosting awards and not actually collecting royalties and paying out people, you know. And when we picked these things up and started speaking about them, there was political risk that we didn't anticipate, you know. So we've done many projects that some risk was calculated and some it was just surprise that this was even, we thought we were educating people. We thought maybe we were sharing resources and information only to land ourselves in trouble. So sometimes we only learned post certain decisions that this was risky. And we didn't walk into risks knowingly. Sometimes the risk happened after, you know, an initiative was announced. So there's been many, entertainment itself is a risk. The industry I'm in is a risk to my reputation. It's not always you guys have seen positive news about me, you know. I think there was a good 2 years where there was nothing positive about me. Article after article, it was almost as if it was planned. And it wasn't that they were interviewing me. No, they were writing about me. There was an image that was being portrayed about me. And people were being told things about me that ranged from rape accusations to arrests to artists being unhappy. So those are things that as an entrepreneur, I have to bring to the forefront of your mind. You guys have all these big dreams and ideas. You think it's going to work out if, you know, you just line up, you know, the seeds and you want to farm the cabbages. But one of you said something during your session that I really liked, that I actually started this business, got an order for 1,000 cabbages, and then the client came back to me after the cabbages were ready and told me, no, they found cabbages elsewhere at a much cheaper rate. And then you left with your 1,000 cabbages, right? Your business plan probably was planned up to, and then I make money. And then you realize, oh, this is not as straightforward as I thought, you know? With music, it's even more complex than cabbages. There's so many moving parts, especially in the world of social media, okay? So I don't want to downplay this risk question, like we just move past it. Social media in itself presents risks to the brand, to the artists, to the executives. Social media is a minefield nowadays. And because you can plan a campaign for an artist to say, okay, we're launching your music the next 6 months. Here's the rollout plan. This is what we call the work we'll do over the next six months. Here's where you're going to go. Here's what you're going to do. And then one fan writes something negative, let's say, about that particular artist. We have to change the whole plan, especially if that negative thing catches fire and that's all people are focused on. We can't act like that's not going on and keep promoting the song and trying to push a dance challenge down people's throats. There's something that's come up that we didn't anticipate. So sometimes you try to de-risk those moments by building an artist that has a good reputation. So if you have a person that is well managed, for example, They don't get into trouble. They're not going out doing things they're not supposed to do. The day we actually have a campaign for you, it's easier to execute it because we've de-risked this moment as much as possible. So there's risks everywhere in our field. And identifying them, taking calculated risks, and then also, yeah, I can't emphasize that even now, at my scale, the risks get worse. I don't know if I'm making sense. The more famous you get, things get riskier. I don't just tweet whatever I want. Sometimes I have to consult 5 to 10 people before I put out my own thoughts. How do you think this will be perceived? How do you think the newspapers will write about me if I say this? Do you think the radio stations will say something if I say this? And my mom and dad, what do you think they'll say? So there's so many stakeholders now that the brand has blown up, that have to be considered, right? Even way more than when we were starting out, you were hoping people see your posters or your adverts, right? That's probably the stage most of you are in. You're trying to get your communications out. We have to be careful about what communication goes out. And I'll end with one example. For example, something you all love, the Hypnotic Festival lineup. That lineup is released in stages over 2 months. I have the lineup in a notebook from the year before. The likelihood of someone seeing that lineup in my office is very high. That information cannot be shared with anyone outside of the team. You see, that if someone would take a picture of my diary at work and share it with someone on their WhatsApp, the lineup is out. I already have contracts with everyone. I can't change it. In fact, if I try to change it, I'll lose money because I've already paid deposits. And what's due now to the artists is their balances. So the best way I can de-risk that is by building a trustworthy team. There's no other way to de-risk that. I can't be around snitches, as we call it in hip-hop, you know? So we still use those terms. It's not that serious. I don't want you guys to think Swazi Jive was a youth company and then became the serious company. We're still a youth company. But what happened was, to de-risk this entertainment thing, we educated ourselves as much as possible, you know? And we educate the people that join the team as much as possible. You've seen artists leave Swazi Jive, but you've never seen an artist say they didn't get their mechanical royalties or their performance royalties, or I never got paid at my show. You see what I'm saying? We've de-risked that side by having contracts, by actually sticking to our obligations. We can't stop that. And I'm sure you guys have seen how much that can affect a brand's reputation. One artist, even if the label has 15 artists, one artist going, the whole thing can go down the drain. So just to end it on that note with this risk question, the whole business is risky. And that's why my industry peers respect me. They realize how much has been done and they know how risky it is to execute those things. I don't want to get into the insurance needed to host 15,000 people in one place, or the approval needed from fire departments, police station, city council to host people in one place. You know, it takes months of documentation, months of landscape engineering, months of, if the stage would fall on you guys during my show, who's responsible? Is it the production company? Is it Sakhile? Is it the worker I hired in the morning to try to fix the screw? Those are risks. The wind can blow the stage onto the crowd and 5,000 people can get hurt, or people die, even worse. Who's responsible? We discuss those things. You guys don't even know we discuss those things, actually. We don't put that in our press releases. We don't put that on our Facebook page. Now we're discussing what will happen if you guys lose your cell phones. You guys don't know that. But if you do lose your cell phone, all of a sudden you go, is there lost and found here? And you look up and you see lost and found, right? Because we have to de-risk this product I have a document that's 10 pages long on risks that we encounter when we host an event. If any of you are event managers here and are interested in that sort of information, that's the information I'd like to share with other young people that want to get into events, they want to get into the space. The risk one was a big question. I know you didn't anticipate it, but risk and entertainment like go together so well. You know, think of the security teams when you come to our events. Who hired them? Who instructed them? There was a year security used tasers on our fans. We hadn't informed them that wasn't the sort of crowd you use tasers on. There are crowds where you need tasers and batons and tear gas. We all have seen those crowds. But my crowd wasn't that. But they treated them as that. So I had to have meetings with OSU and the police and CIDs. Have me, this young guy, talking to the director of police like, no tasers. The young people don't appreciate it. We're smoking weed. We're drinking alcohol. We're not a danger. We're slow. We're just trying to get to our hotel rooms. If you see one, help him. Don't tase him. Please. You know, they're very well alive. They're just a little drunk. These are young people. They're having fun. That was that risk, that cultural risk. Hypnotic went against cultural norms was the biggest one. Okay? Everything we do in Swaziland and entertainment is risk. We are trying to normalize something that never existed. I'm one of the first young guys to do that. So sometimes you guys will see me go through things that are even confusing for us. You understand? Because we still don't know how to de-risk it. It's still too new. We're still trying to figure out how to bring hypnotic without those issues from before. And it's so difficult to promise government, stakeholders, that young people won't be drinking. Like, how can I guarantee that? Even if I say no under 18s at my event, can I guarantee you guys won't have a pre-drinking session at home in your hood before you show up to my show? No, I can't, but they want to put that on the brand. Like the brand is responsible if one of you guys is found drunk. So we had to stop the show because now there were risks that were being put on the brand that were outside of our control. You see, that's how important risk is. And risk can dictate what's a viable product and what isn't in entertainment, even if it makes more money. Yeah. Yeah. The startup grind, I have to be a little more detailed than like some observer interview. You know?
Okay. So that means it is very important to have some kind of a risk management plan of some sort.
I believe so, but risk management then makes it sound fancy. Yeah. When you come to a new entrepreneur and you say, what's your risk management plan? They're like, bro, I'm just trying to sell chickens. You know, like, what do you mean risk management? You know, we need to start looking at things practically. Laswatini especially. If I Google risk management for events, they bring up everything that's relevant to every other market except here. So that information is like, maybe 10% of it will be useful to an organizer like me. But this thing talks about laws that don't exist in our country, talks about event support systems that don't exist. Like, yeah, the city should give you guys recycle bins. Have you guys ever seen that? The city should provide backup power, silent generator. Have you guys ever seen any of that sort of participation? You see what I'm saying? So then I, as an entrepreneur, have to figure out, well, we don't have this. I don't have the time or the money to do this. Can I find an alternative? I think that's a better way than saying de-risk or risk management. You know, some risks you can't manage. They'll always be there. People think when you say risk management, it means you're removing the risk. No, you're trying to manage how much that risk affects what you're trying to do. You know, you can't remove risk from business. And some of you are spending too much time planning, thinking the plan will be so perfect, there'll be no more risk by the time you start executing. You will fall behind so bad by so many years. You know, risk is something we're not scared of. I'm actually proud that we're the first mover in a lot of things, as we'll talk about. We've walked into risky. When they describe hypnotic, we sound brilliant now. Like, oh, they were the first guys to do a hip hop show, first guys to bring AKA. We looked crazy. You can go on the Facebook page, try find the first hypnotic poster on the Swazi Jive page and read the comments. Yini entfo lena? Lama yo lawa, yini bo cheese boy le. Put in a house lana. Put ipi uhuru. I'm telling you. Like comment after comment after comment, there was nothing positive. Our very first poster. And what do? The show hasn't happened. It looks like we may have got it wrong, guys. People want uhuru. They don't know these guys we bring. You know, we had to go through that and go, no, let's take the risk. Let's take the risk. Let's be confident. We wear our fitted caps, we wear our baggy jeans and our cool sneakers and just look confident. Doesn't look like they like this hip hop thing very much, but just look confident. When we go out there and people ask about it, talk about the show. Be confident about it. You see, some of you may be at that stage where people don't even believe that you can farm. You can plant some seeds and water them. They're like, you know, and you're fighting that battle. It's not about de-risking. It's about getting past that stage where it's like, I need this person to believe in me because I need their money to buy more seeds. So I'm going to wake up until they believe that I'm serious about this. Yeah. That's a form of risk management. Your reputation getting in the way of your dream, you know. But when you say risk management, you know, focus on, think of your product, your service that you're providing, and think of that immediate challenge. What's stopping me from getting to the next level? What is the next level? What does it come with to get to that next level? Ask yourself. I don't know what you all do. I just heard from our networking session. But I can tell that there's still a lot of, yes, I want to start a business, but 100 people have that same business, right? Some of you are in spaces that have already been rigged and monopolized, that you will never win in. And you have to know that, go in there knowing that I want to kill this industry with that mentality. Like they're trying to monopolize this industry, but I'm going to change that. And this is how I will do it. If you're not thinking like that, you're already out the game. If you think people will pity you because you have an idea or you call yourself an entrepreneur, no one cares that you one day will be big, run up. Everyone just looks at you like, you know, but you're the only one with that conviction. It's no different. I'm no different from you guys. It was no different from me. For me, you know, there was no risk management. It was a whole lot of hate, a whole lot of doubt, and in Swaziland, I don't even have to explain Swaziland. And Swaziland, and I had to figure it out. Okay, Swaziland, what that comes with. We can talk about leadership. You can talk about any aspect. I don't want to sit here and complain. I actually don't want anyone to talk to me about Swaziland challenges anymore. Any of my friends will tell you this. Anyone I do business with, if you call me and go, hey, arts and culture, I'll cut the call. Because you guys have known this. I've been in this since 2008. I can't even do the math. It's like 20 years now or something of me doing entertainment. I don't want to talk about this environment anymore. It's been such an influence over my life to the extent where it's now affecting you guys. It's like people are no longer listening to me because it's like, you've been complaining since you were 17. It's other people's chance to complain now. I'm like, what? What is going on here? So, de-risk, now that we've kind of unpacked the word, the way you think is best with what's facing you immediate. We don't have the luxury of risk management plans like our peers in South Africa, in our space, or Botswana. I was recently in Botswana. The industry is so organized that if any of you have an artist and that artist features someone from Botswana or works with someone from Botswana, the Botswana government will still pay royalties to that person, even if they're not from Botswana. As long as the person from Botswana registers you properly in their system, that, hey, I'm a Botswanian, I did this hip-hop song with this guy called Sakhile from Swaziland, the government will pay me too. That's how we're also sustaining ourselves right now. Our reputation went past Swazi borders. So I'm sitting here in front of you, I'm in Swaziland, but Swazi Jive operates in America, in Botswana, in South Africa. Okay? We have entities, we have artists, we have people. Some you guys don't know anything because we don't publicize it yet. Okay? And I want to be clear on that. It doesn't mean we're no longer a Swazi brand. It's we outgrew the environment. And there were things that no longer made the negativity, all that was going to kill our potential to even expand. Because when you expand, people look at what you do at home. Make sense? So we had to stop doing things at home because it was like, hey, sebendan manch. They're killing now our chance of going to do a show in Joburg, our chance to do a show in Pretoria. That's, you know, so while there was all this negativity, people trying to increase risk, I was de-risking the business by expanding into other markets.
Maybe on that note, Sakhile, to our entrepreneurs, what mindset shifts are necessary for the founders who also want to go globally,
Yep.
And have relevant businesses in Eswatini?
When you sent me this question, it was very interesting. You think local, but do business global. Trust your local perspective. Trust the fact that there's a problem you're seeing and it needs a solution. But don't do it the Swazi way, the Spaza way. Yeah, the Spaza way is not the way. Think global. Solve that same problem, but in a global manner. I always ask myself, how come we always have these internationals, Indians, Ethiopians, any Asian? They come in here, they open stores, not just any store. They open warehouses, big supermarket chains, and now Swazis, I still go buy chips and sweets from the same guys that I used to buy from when I was young. They haven't expanded, they haven't grown, still selling the same sherbet and lollipops. And it's like, how come we get stuck? You know, they are solving a problem. They are serving their community. They are selling products and making money, but they're stuck on a certain business level that Black people can't seem to escape. And then we've got the Mansus who run Spa, who are in the newspaper with the king right now, opening their 10th branch. And it's like, don't you guys ask yourselves, how come it's not a Swazi there? I do. And I think that's why I'm this type of entrepreneur. I want to get into spaces where Swazis aren't in. You know, thinking globally has allowed me to do that. You know, so that's what I'd encourage. It forces even people to see value in you. Some people don't like me, but they work with me. Let me put it like that. Because I bring so much value to the table because of the way I think about the problem. So they know, hey, I'll invite 10 people or marketers to the table and ask them, I need to increase my sales. I know for a fact no one's going to present a solution I'll present because I've put so much thought and I've gone such an abnormal approach. It's almost impossible for someone to copy it. And the last thing I'd say for this room, for these visionaries in the room, trust your personal brand. I think another thing that saved my brands is who I am personally. When the brands were in trouble, people researched who's behind them. Like, hypnotic, man, we're hypnotic. Then people want to find out who's the face, who's the brand, who's the person, or that energy or the spirit. And then they find, hey, this guy is educated, or hey, this guy is serious. They look at me in a suit on Instagram and go, I know, we're serious. So you have to kind of balance, while you're building the business, you're also building yourself personally. You know, the only thing I didn't get to do today that I always do before I have a talk is go to the barber shop. It's got nothing to do with you guys and everything to do with my brand. I promise. It's not that Deezy doesn't know me. She knows me. You know, she sees me on social media or we've seen each other at other events. But my personal brand, one of my notes is, have your hair neat. Your sneakers must be clean. That has nothing to do with what Swazi Jive does. If you think about it, there's no direct correlation, you know. But when you see me, you see the brand too. You know, so some of you need to look like your brands. I'm an entertainer. I deal with artists. It's all that matters. I can take a girl from here in Manzini. Oh, okay, we don't actually have to make an example. Let's use Uncle Waffles, who was an intern at Swazi Jive when she started. She was serving drinks at Swazi Jive. Today, she's a global superstar. Okay, when she started, she didn't look the way she looks now. Okay, if you all think we had a girl dancing in a G-string serving drinks, no, it wasn't that Waffles. You know, she realized she's a brand and she needs to change how she looks and present herself a different way than the girl that used to serve drinks. You understand? We still know Lungelisha personally, but we know she's rebranded herself. Entrepreneurs also need that in this era of social media. If y'all think you're going to just brand your business and stay in your overalls and come to the meeting and get a spot deal in your overalls, you're wrong. You have to pull up in your Rolls Royce and talk about your chickens. Wear your suits. If you don't have a suit, buy one. If you don't want to buy one, save for one. If you see what I'm saying, those cues matter psychologically to people. Think globally and then take care of your personal brand. I think that's the only two pieces of advice that I think is practical.
Maybe to put an emphasis on the brand.
Yes.
With your background in marketing,
Yes.
how has your background influenced the way you've built the brands as well as the startup when Swazi Jive was a startup?
Yes. I still consider it a startup, by the way. Okay. I don't know when you stop calling your business a startup. Maybe you guys will teach me that. I still think I'm hustling, you know. Some of you may not know this, so I'll share. When I went to school, university, I studied, I have a degree in business, okay, but I did a lot of courses in marketing, brand management and positioning, advanced marketing courses, and I did my senior thesis in brand management and positioning. Okay. And I have my minor. So in America, you can major and minor. I minored in entrepreneurship. It could have been something else, like politics, something random, but I wanted to double down on this business thing. So I have a business degree with a minor. The reason I'm mentioning this, the focus on marketing helped me become a better storyteller. Americans, you guys will agree, have some of the most influential brands in the world, from Disney, Apple, Google. You can almost name any American brand and everyone in the room knows it. We don't even know when we learned about this brand or how, but I can name maybe 5 American brands. Even Starbucks, things that don't exist here. Sometimes Swazis talk about things they've never seen in their lives. Like, oh, where do you know Starbucks from? But they'll talk about it like they've tasted it. That thinking was shared with me by American professors, okay? Marketing was taught to me in such a formal way that I have the technical, I can do marketing like I'm a student, like the 4 P's of marketing. You know, price, place, promotion, packaging. What does that mean for my brand? So there's that part, okay? That's very important in any business, not entertainment. Every one of you needs to know the 4 P's of marketing. It doesn't matter what you do. You all have to price your product. You all have to package your product. You all have to decide where you're selling your product, right? And you all have to promote it. So you all do these 4 P's. Okay? On that note, I know 8 P's of marketing. I won't get into them because I've done advanced marketing. Yes. That's just some background knowledge. Another thing, besides storytelling, my background in branding is everything Swazi Jive is. So Swazi Jive's story is what helps launch the artist. Even if you guys don't know someone, I always link it back to the Swazi Jive story. Okay? With my marketing skill, right? I meet someone new in Manzini who doesn't have any attention. They can sing. Well, they think they can sing. They want Sakhile to make them more popular. The most relevant thing is to link this person's story. I have to find what we call brand cues or brand hallmarks. Okay? What makes this person's brand link with my brand. Very similar to how you guys were divided when you guys started earlier. You guys didn't know you were divided by industry. You were only told that after, right? So what associated you guys was tech or farming or, you know, health and wellness. I have to figure that out with strangers. Make sense? And figure out how does this stranger fit in to this vision I have of building Africa's biggest entertainment company. Or they're a singer. Okay, right? That's just with artists. With events, this is not an artist now. I still link the event to the Swazi Jive story, where now I remind everyone that, remember, these are young people doing this, right? So it doesn't matter what event we're doing. When it's a Swazi Jive event, it always gets a certain reception because it's a Swazi Jive event, right? So these things now feed into each other. It almost seems automatic that the young people are feeding into the new artists we're launching. That new artist gives them products that they love. They go on, they have their own story. I invite that artist to a show. You even forgot that's my artist. After 2-3 years of listening to their music, you even forget that Swazi Jive launched this artist. Now you're coming to shows that Swazi Jive is hosting to see that artist. You see? So all that creates this, it's what I call authentic brand building. People don't do authentic brand building. People want to post on Facebook, right? People will tell you marketing is posting something on Facebook and then boosting it. I first have to learn about your brand hallmarks, what your brand story is, where you come from, where you think you're going, where we fit in. I go home, I spend weeks, sometimes months, trying to figure out your brand cues, how you're going to look, how you're going to come out. The first post when we announce that you're now associated with us. That's marketing's played a huge role in how I launch everything I do. It's all from a marketer's perspective. Once I learned that brands like Coca-Cola spend so much money doing market research before they put out ads, it increased my curiosity as to why do brands spend so much money doing, before they even market to you, they spend even more money researching what you want, what you like, what you don't like, where you go, where you don't go. For example, with me, I had to research where is the most likely place young people would be able to meet. Pick Speak, Smunye, Manzini, Zulwini. Zulwini seems more central for everyone. Everyone seems like they can make Zulwini. That's primary research, and that's a marketing skill. You learn to research in marketing. It's like a prerequisite as a marketer. You must be able to do research. That primary research informs my business plans. That primary research informs the idea I'm going to execute. Okay? That primary research also tells us if we're thinking the right way. I can ask my audience the wrong question and still get answers. You get what I'm saying? I can ask you guys, so do you guys want grass at Hypnotic, or do you want, I don't know, soil on the floor so it looks like a beach? And the audience will answer you, but do those questions really matter to the brand? Is that really what matters to the audience? I don't think so, you see? So also asking the right questions so you get the right answers that will move the brand forward. The last part with marketing that I have to emphasize is building databases. Marketing has allowed me to know my customers. If you go to the bank, they always say, hey, sign this KYC form. It's a birth certificate, it's an ID, it's a passport. They ask you all kinds of, they call it KYC information. You guys never ask yourselves, why do they keep asking me for this information every 2 or 3 years? They ask for your updated cell number, your updated email. All that's a marketing effort to make sure that they're still talking to the person they think they're talking to when they're selling products, right? Yeah, KYC is short for Know Your Customer. And those forms, the number of questions they ask you get longer and longer and longer. You just don't notice. They build a brand profile around you. Swazi Jive does a similar thing. I have close to 10,000 customer base. I know 10,000 of my customers. I have their cell numbers. I have their credit card numbers from CompuTicket. I have how many tickets they've bought over the years. So if you're a VIP client, 2 years, you bought general, I know that. So I've built a profile around you. So let's say Sakhile. If I click Sakhile, I see your number, I see what ticket you bought or how many tickets you've bought, and I'm able to organize that data how I want. General ticket buyers, VIP ticket buyers, Golden Circle buyers. So when we have a show, some of you may know, I actually market the show to my Golden Circle guests before it goes out in public, because they're the special group. They pay the most money. They spend more money than all of you, combined at the show. They spend 10,000 securing their seat, and then they spend another 10, 20,000 on food and drinks, each table. So if I have 10, 15 tables, and I'm doing pre-sale, I'm making 150,000 just from announcing that I'm doing a show. Make sense? That 150,000 I use to sell to the rest of you guys. Makes sense? Because that money comes in immediately. It's quick. I have no obligation to give this person anything. Sometimes it's just my word that you'll get a table. I don't have to show them a ticket or a wristband or anything. They don't even know the lineup at that point. They don't even know if my lineup is going to suck, but they're willing to pay me 15,000 upfront. Marketing allowed me to do that. You see that? If I wasn't marketing my idea before it happened, I wasn't going to be able to build that revenue opportunity. So I marketed the idea, marketed what's going to happen, then marketed how you can get involved, and then ask for the money immediately for something that's going to happen in the future. Pay me now. In 6 months, you're going to have this nice seat. I'm using that money to get that done, right? That's a way of de-risking, risk management. Sponsors might not come in. Let me focus on the consumer, the people that value the product, that know AK and love AK, willing to pay any amount to meet him, willing to pay more to meet him at the hotel, willing to pay more to take a picture with him. I'll start with those people because they understand exactly what I'm doing. That's who I'm speaking to. Marketing helped me identify that person. And marketing is helping me keep that person in the long run. You see? So marketing that's why we're able to build entertainment products. We are good marketers. You can be a good businessman, you can have all the money in the world and not be able to run a label like Swazi Jive, which is what's happening most of the time. You find a lot of our competitors come in the market because they've heard we have financial issues. They saw in the newspaper, and then they get in it and then realize this thing requires so much. It's not just Facebook posts and boosting. There's a lot more brand cues. Where do people learn about your artists? What type of music? Where do people that listen to their music go to? Marketing helps you identify all those things before you even get started. You don't shoot and hope in my business. I don't announce a show and hope you guys show up. I don't drop an artist and hope you listen. I already have targets. I know first month I should be getting 10,000 streams. You're right? If I do it like this. If I do it like this, I should be getting 100,000. When I did the Cypher, we marketed the Cypher in 2020 with no budget. But because I know marketing so well, it trended. People thought we had so much money behind that product. We had zero Emalangen. But I used brand cues like, okay, the artists, because you guys are entrepreneurs, you'll be interested in this. The artists were invited a month before the shoot, okay? We knew there'll be no budget for this. We're going to create a cypher that will appeal to Swazis by how they dress and look. Because we have no budget, we have to use other factors now to appeal to the audience. Let's use Ngoche. Swazis like chilling in dilapidated houses, especially young people. That's where they smoke, drink, hang out. Even if they don't smoke and drink, that's where they'll find their friends. Okay? That was a brand cue. We wrote that down. We need to find a dilapidated house. Okay? That's the first point. Okay? How are we filming this? Are we going high end? Okay, there's a BET Cypher dropping around the same time we're dropping. They'll probably have better cameras than us. We don't have better cameras than BET. They're probably going to shoot theirs in 8K. I spoke to the production company. They're going all out with their lighting. Let's go the opposite direction. How about we color grade ours so it looks a little black and white? So it doesn't look like we're competing with the BET Cypher. You see, that's branding. That's how you create your unique selling point. I hope I'm making sense, you know? So I didn't just drop a cypher and hope you guys like the raps. The raps were actually the last thing I recorded. The artist got a brief from me saying, this is how you're gonna look, this is where you'll be, this is how I'd like you to rap when you say your raps. Sometimes you won't look in the camera. You will be standing outside. He will be standing, right? The artist didn't know all this. This came from the business, the brand, because that's our job now, to create a product. And for this thing to be a product, before we even engage the artist, we went to Castle Light with this plan that I'm sharing with you to say, hey, we're going to produce this. Can you put money behind it? You see, that's the business we're in. It's a marketing business. And if I don't make the right decisions before that production day or the drop day or launch day, we are no longer in business, right? So if we're not doing any marketing, why are we involved? Go do it on your own, right? When you're involving us, you are scaling up. You are trying to get in either the whole local audience or the international audience. So marketing has been, I think you guys can hear, a large majority of the business. I'm emphasizing this because I know schools rush past marketing like it's just another. Finance department, marketing department, and it's like, yo, do you guys realize this on its own could be a whole 4 years at university, which is why I just shared with you guys. I needed you guys to understand how long it took for me. I still read marketing articles till today. I still have notes. You know, I'll share some stuff with Startup Grind that you guys can use in sessions. I'm going to come back for a marketing session one day and be a part of the group, even if I'm not the speaker, because I understand that marketing is an ongoing and ever-changing thing. When I started Swazi Jive, there was no Instagram, there was no TikTok, there was no YouTube, but we are big on all those platforms. Am I making sense? Yeah, Facebook, you can find us and you'll see numbers. YouTube, you'll see we have so many crazy now. I think I do close to 50,000 views a month on YouTube without posting anything. And there's royalties coming in from that, off of a brand that was built away from YouTube. But when you post on YouTube, it makes money. When I post on Instagram, it makes money. When I post on Facebook, so it doesn't matter what platform I'm on, I've built a brand.
Wait, Sakhile.
Marketing.
So you're saying you're making money from YouTube in Eswatini? Yes,
I'd like to show you. I'll show you, there's a monetization program that you have to qualify for to make money as a content creator on Facebook. It's a little trickier than, I'll share with you, then you can share with everyone what you're seeing here.
Okay.
But I'm basically opening YouTube Studio. This basically tells me I'm a YouTube partner. As you can see, I just made how much just now?
Is it $30?
$30 right now. And then I'll show you how much is sitting in the account from purely YouTube videos over time. So I'll go revenue, and then I'll go all-time revenue. Then you can read it to the audience. I'm not a YouTuber. Yeah, just wait for it to load. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't focus on YouTube. Okay? I'm building a brand. He's going to read out how much the YouTube channel, yeah.
$726.
In the account, in the YouTube account, right? I'm not a YouTuber. I don't make YouTube. You guys have never seen me on YouTube going, hey guys, subscribe, like and subscribe. I don't do that. But I've built a brand that is successful on YouTube. And I help other people succeed on the YouTube platform because of my marketing knowledge. See, I hope that now ties up this whole, how has marketing been important? Marketing is so important. I can go on any platform and help it, make it work for you. You don't have to be on every platform. The one you're comfortable with, how can we make sure this one makes you money? That's how important this skill is. And I'm showing you my channel. My channel is mine. It's not, I'm not an artist. You know, there really shouldn't be anything on this channel. But creatives, licensed, okay, if you're interested in more about this entertainment stuff, tomorrow on TikTok, I'm plugging during Startup Grind. I saw visual plugging. I'm like, yeah, if Kumaro can do it, I'm also plugging. Tomorrow there's a talk on TikTok. It will be uploaded around 1 p.m. about copyrights and conflicts in the entertainment industry. We are going through actual industry contracts from Sony, Spinning Records, Bushfire contracts, the Hypnotic contract, Homecoming. We're going to go through all those contracts and cases. I think it's important I plug this because I'm realizing how much more detail there is into this. I don't want to spend too much time. Okay. Yeah. That talk, trust me, is more technical, and it's a lawyer that's interviewing me. And you get to understand why, when I talk about platforms, it gets sensitive. Because there's actually, in our contracts in our industry, there's artist licensing rights. So an artist can license their image rights to you. They can license their music and not their image. They can license everything, which is what's called a record deal. When an artist licenses everything to you, we sometimes call it a record deal, not all the time. You understand? Our industry is very complicated. I can be independent and leverage external services and still be my own artist and not have a label, but still use Swazi Jive, right? I don't want to get into that layer, but it definitely is important because a lot of people benefit from us like that, where they haven't signed with us. They're not necessarily a product we discovered on the street, but I've had Universal Music acquire our services to launch some artists you guys know during my festival. So that wasn't a Hypnotic agreement. It was now a marketing agreement. You guys understand? It's not can you book so-and-so for your event. It's can you market so-and-so? They're launching an album. And then I say, okay, the first place I'll have them perform is at my show. So now my show is now part of the marketing activities. It's not the be-all and end-all of the artist. So it's like, okay, first step, we'll do Hypnotic. Then next step, we'll do New York, or we'll put your song out on this radio station and all your fans will love it. Examples, we did that with Nasty C when I was launching Strings and Playing. Def Jam invited me as a marketer while I was still at school, and my presentation, my pitch, I guess, impressed them, and I was given the rights to launch Strings and Playing. And we were the first brand to put out Nasty C's album, and we also hosted him in America. We did the same thing with AKA's Touch My Blood. We were the first brand to launch AKA's album. And because of that reputation, Anati asked that I help him launch his single, Don't Forget to Pray. So that's, if you do your research, you'll see Anati in Chicago in 2017, just before that song drops. It was all part of that campaign. We actually even did a show in Chicago as part of that campaign to market that show. We did a preview of that song during that show. You see, so this is all to market someone, but there's so many activities and steps that have been placed to ensure that you guys eventually know this person, see this person. It's not one move. It's not put out the song and then everyone's gonna hear it. No, it's put out the song and then tomorrow you're on radio for an hour. And then on Wednesday, you've got to be in the magazine. And then on Friday, I have you for a TV. You're still talking about the song. I don't want you to talk about anything else. I know you love the other one. I know you love the one that's coming. We're only talking about this one though. That's my job as a marketer, to help the artist now learn that attention is the most important asset. Attention is the single most important asset when you're marketing. Some of us have been blessed with it. I think you guys have seen. Some of us shy away from media because they can't stop writing about us. Someone else will pay for that service. Sakhile, I need to be in the newspaper. I go, give me money. If I put it out, they're going to write about it. You see? Because now I've built that sort of reputation. And people don't, whether you believe it or not, you can see it for yourself, right? Because I just did it for someone else last week, or I just did it for this corporate last week. So marketing, my friends, is the be-all and end-all. You can be the greatest brand in the world. If people don't know it, it's useless. You know? It's like you can make a better burger than McDonald's, but can you market better than McDonald's? I don't think so. So I don't care if your burger tastes better than KFC's Colonel Burger. You can't market it better. You won't sell more Colonel Burgers than the Colonel Burgers, right? That's how important marketing is. Some of you are too focused on perfecting the product. Like, yeah, this is the best donut in the world. Who cares? Make sure, though, when people do taste it, it tastes like one of the best donuts in the world. That's my advice. So don't just say it's the best donut in the world, and then when we taste it, it tastes nowhere near the best donut in the world. Rather, you say, make that claim, and then when people taste it, they go, you know, I've never really tasted a donut this good. And then they start believing that claim to fame. When we came out with Hypnotic, we said Swaziland's biggest and most loved festival. We hadn't even done one. You see what I'm saying? It was our claim to fame. Like, yo, guys, if we kill this, we're out of here. Take that thinking into your business, into how you market it. I don't know how you'll position it, but you need that breaking point in your business where sales start stabilizing. You can confidently say as an entrepreneur, per month, I make 10,000 from sales, with or without marketing. I know my business will bring in this much money. When I market, though, it increases to 20, 30. If I don't, it drops back down to 10. Then you've sort of got your business down to a science. But if you can't measure how your business is when you market or when you don't market, you know, you must consult. I won't be too expensive, but people like me are always willing to consult. You know, that's where, as you can see, it can be such a complex convo. I'm trying to share as much as possible, but there's like layers to it. It's like once you get to this point, once I start a Facebook page, how do I grow it? Once I've grown it, how do I keep the audience? Okay, so I have to create content. Who's creating the content? Okay, what type of content? We're still dealing with one issue here, which is putting you out on Facebook. But now you have to learn the platform, the rules of that platform. The platform rules change almost monthly at this point with AI rules. We'll get into that. But yeah, if anything you guys learned from today's talk, marketing isn't something you guys should take lightly for your personal brands and for these businesses you're starting. I'm literally launching ideas that haven't been proven just because I can market well. I've got a game out in the market, early access, just because I marketed it well. People are using it, trying it, giving us feedback. We'll get into that more, but it's all, I am relying on my skill of marketing to de-risk that product or whatever I'm doing. Like, let me market a part of it and see how people react. If they don't react, if I don't get 1,000 likes, it means I haven't gotten it right yet. Let me got it to go back to the drawing board. So I use marketing also as feedback. Yeah, we'll go into the feedback one because one of your questions.
Yeah. So how do you use feedback to kind of improve your business model?
Okay. Feedback I get from everywhere, from conversations in rooms like this, social media messages, comments. Feedback is everything everyone says about your business. If you start a business and someone says, yes, listen. Doesn't matter what they say. Doesn't matter if it's negative, positive, good, bad. Listen. Write it down. Okay? I've had all kinds of, I'll name feedback that people think maybe I've never seen or don't know about, that maybe a CEO like myself shouldn't even care about. I've seen comments like, when we're starting the festival, my shoes are dirty after Hypnotic. My shoes are dirty. Hey guys, are y'all's shoes dirty like mine? And then there was like 10 people saying the same thing, 20 people saying the same thing. And then the next year we did it, I think a good 400 or 500 people were saying the same thing. And I said, guys, this dirty shoes thing is starting to be associated with our brand. So we went and bought sawdust. We had to spend another 30,000 covering the whole ground with sawdust to protect the brand, I promise. So that next time on social media, no one's complaining about that. I was so happy after that show. I was like, any shoe complaints? Next point, please. But it was a very expensive thing to sort out. But the damage it was doing, we were having less social media comments about how great the show was and how good the performances was, because the fans didn't realize that what they say about the show is the brand. We have to now almost direct and encourage them to share the positive experiences. Share your photos from the show. Share your photos with AKA. Did you take pictures with your favorite artists? We'd like to see them. Hashtag Hypnotic 2013. That was all an effort to drive people away from saying my shoes are dirty. I hope you guys understand how dumb and serious it can be. Yeah. My shoes are dirty can stop a lot of people from coming to your show. People like me. If I see a comment like that, I'm trying to buy a ticket to your show, like, hey, and it's less sales. That's all part of feedback. Reading comments. That person that posted that probably wasn't directing it at me, but it had to do with my business and brand. And we sorted it out so quickly. And I feel like they actually did us a favor by talking openly about this. It showed us that there's more people having the same problem, but they haven't really shared. And I don't know how it could have influenced them to stop coming to my show. So I sorted that out. Okay, that's an example of getting feedback. Feedback on maybe artists' music. It's not all the time we put out music that people get it or like it. Sometimes I have to put a twist to it so people understand. For example, I don't think the cipher would have done well if I wasn't going through a negative phase in my life. The negative feedback, the things people were saying about the brand and me, were the cue for us to produce the cipher. And we addressed those negative things in this rap cipher. I hope I'm making sense. So it doesn't matter what people throw at us. We're out here. What did he say? What's in the... And then we create a product that we know will resonate, because that's what people are talking about now. So we'll create something that they can talk about even more. And we found success in that strategy. It's not all the time you can spin. I have to warn you guys. Some things you can't spin, especially if you're guilty. You kill someone and say, yes, okay, we need to spin this one. I shot someone. I can't help you spin that. You're going to jail, you know. But there's issues in our business where you can spin. You can change the audience's focus from being negative to positive. Feedback for me is a cue of where our audience is. YouTube comments. I still get YouTube comments on videos we put out in 2012, in 2025. Someone will say, still here. And you go open that person's profile and they have no profile picture. They've been following you for the last 10 years. You can't see their name. And you realize this person's been engaging with my stuff for so many years. I don't know who they are. And they say they're still here. And then that person will comment in another video, we need another cipher. I will take that person's comment more seriously. You see what I'm saying? Because I know that person's been on my journey and understands when the brand does certain things and how the brand does certain things. You see, I'm using that one as an example. We've had to get feedback about our clothes. That's how the brand started. It wasn't events, it wasn't artist management. We used to just do graphic t-shirts, and our clothes kind of sucked. We used to use these cheap t-shirts from Pep, trying to screen print, trying to make a quick bag. Yeah, 150. People are like, yo, and the brand started there. If we didn't use feedback to improve the brand, you guys probably wouldn't know anything about Swazi Jive. So feedback from your customers, from your potential customers, even if they haven't bought yet, is very crucial to your strategy. Write it down, even if you don't use it immediately. Write it down in your notebook. When you are sitting down and thinking, how do I move this brand forward? And then now you're flipping through your pages of all the notes you've been taking over that month or year, the answers pop up. Like, people's shoes are dirty. You know, the clothes, we need to increase the grammage of the t-shirt. Instead of me buying 170 grams, let me buy 185 grams. You know, I know some of you are surprised that I even know textile like that, but it got that serious. I know grammage for t-shirts because my brand's associated with this. And I'm competing with Ama Keep at the time. When I was wearing their t-shirt, it felt nicer. It just fits better. It doesn't do this thing my t-shirt does. How come my t-shirts are hanging on the collar? I go back to my suppliers. Can you fix this? What's this? They're like, yo, why is this kid becoming a snob? He used to just pay and leave. I'm like, no, I've got a brand. You got to fix this. I don't like this. What's this? They're like, you got to find another supplier, brother. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. If you can't fix this, I'm going to do that. So that journey started. And I'd say that's the journey we're still on today. We're still perfecting the brand, figuring out some things we've had to stop completely. It doesn't make sense to our audience, but we know what it takes to deliver certain products, right? And if we don't have those things, the feedback we get from our audience will be at its all-time worst. Because my audience has an expectation. My Golden Circle clients, my VIP clients, I get different feedback from those two. You think VIP clients and Golden Circle clients are the same? They're not. They have different expectations, and I get different feedback based on those expectations. Similarly to general clients. We try organize the feedback based on who we're talking to.
No, thank you so much, Sakhile. I simply cannot let you go unless you talk about AI, because
Yes,
I
sir.
understand you are currently working on AI-driven solutions.
Yes.
So how do you see AI shaping the future of entrepreneurship in Eswatini? And I want to combine that that question with if there was one thing that you wanted everyone in this room to take home and take away from the conversation that we had today,
Yep.
what would be that one thing?
So with the AI convo, this is probably, I like that we're ending on this note, by the way. And this is probably the most important one for me personally, because I feel like a new entrepreneur like you guys in this field. If you haven't researched on AI, I'd encourage you to do it. What I'll do is share a little bit about AI. People assume people know AI. People assume people know how to use it. I don't want to assume that before I get into what we're creating. But in 2021, was 2021 COVID time? I lost track of time. 2020, it was like years. 2021, I remember specifically learning about AI while I was at home. That's why I'm thinking of COVID. And it wasn't that I learned about this thing that will change human lives. I read what they call white papers. You guys should make it a habit to read white papers. The tech guys probably read a lot on that, on what upcoming technologies there are. There's this idea this firm has, they're going to put it out later this year. So I read one of those things, came across it off. I'm an internet kid. I'm always browsing, researching business, doing this. And I came across this random paper about something that will change the internet forever. And I'm like, that's probably not true, but let me see. And these people are talking about image generation, song generation, video generation, all from your words. You type something and you can, this was in 2021, by the way. I'm reading the paper. This is before ChatGPT and all these programs. I was reading about it. And I'm like, that changes that literally changes my business. I was about to open a new studio, you know. I want to invest in studios, and now everyone's going to be able to generate songs from their phones using a sentence. That sounds like I'm out of business in the next 5 years to me, you know? So that's where the curiosity started. Everything they were saying about this AI thing sounded like it was going to replace me in what I do. From sharing daily plans with an artist, you can do that almost instantly as of today, to write-ups, press releases. An artist can just prompt a press release for themselves, an electronic press kit, your bio. You can do that on your own now, on your phone. Those are all jobs for us that we got paid for just a few years ago, that AI was going to replace. Yes, now we're still in 2021, remember. And also artwork. We design artwork and sell that service. I actually have a graphic designer full-time that I pay. You know, maybe I pay him 5,000, but I've made 20,000 from the graphic designing we've done this month, you know? So even that is out of question now. So what is this AI thing going to really do to my business? And I read more about it and I realized we need to start treating it like it's an assistant. I think you guys have heard that phrase about AI assistant that became more popular over the years because they realized we were all kind of scared of what this thing will turn out to. So they said, think of it as an assistant. So I started seeing AI as an assistant rather than something that could replace you. And it's been an amazing journey so far, even though I'm pre-launch. Over the last year, I've released music. There were some beats were generated by AI, some vocals were generated by AI, and the audience hasn't noticed. I've released promo videos where I didn't have to go out into the field and shoot. I literally produced them, some from my phone. It depends where I'm at. If I'm in the living room, if I'm in the room, and I send it straight to the corporate because it's so good, right? So that changed. Recently, I discovered I need to do more than just prompting images and videos and songs. I need to now tie this AI thing to Swazi Jive fully. And I discovered edutainment as a sector over the years that we want to focus on. So we want to educate and entertain at the same time. So we're going to gamify a lot of experiences. A lot of things that are serious, we're going to turn into games. In a lot of areas that are boring, all these boring books that will never be read. I'm gonna AI everything. Make it easy for you guys to consume that information. And we started our first experiment. Has been something called the Eswatini Resource Center. I have a few of my friends, Piwe, who lives in Mawalala, is my head programmer. I've built apps with Piwe in the past for other corporates like Ngonyeni, websites. We've done many amazing projects, but this AI one is our first one. And Eswatini Music Resource Center is our first project, so look out for that. If you actually Google that, something pops up, a GitHub page, and it explains everything to do with what we wish to achieve with this project. And the first project that's coming out under the Eswatini Resource Center is a game called Eswatini Music Mogul. It will be available on iOS. It will also be available on Android. Eswatini Music Mogul. It's a music simulator. You can actually play a demo version right now. If you type Eswatini Music Mogul on Google, you'll get a link straight to it. You'll see Eswatini Music Resource Center. This is a record label simulator. It puts you in my shoes. It literally says Sakhile has asked you to lead the brand, the label, and you must sign artists, make marketing decisions. It simulates real-world experiences. There will be consequences for your decisions. You lose money, you gain respect, you lose respect based on the decisions you make. Artist happiness goes up or down based on the decisions you make. Artists can make demands. So this is all AI-driven. And we're infusing AI more into this game where the artists won't make predictable demands. Right now, we have an array of data. So I'm using programming language. We have a whole lot of sentences that the artist can say to you in the game. They were manually typed. We're going to allow AI to think of what the artist should say to you based on which level of the game you are or what you're doing. So if you make 3 bad decisions in a row, maybe one of your artists will pop up and say, hey, I want to leave this label. I don't see where this is going. So that AI will drive that interaction. You can literally play this game right now. It's a 1-page platform at the moment. Eswatini Music Mogul. This will be, the user interface is being designed for both Android and iOS. This will be free. We will monetize some elements of it in it. But the aim of this is to educate both budding label owners and also the artists on what really the labels make decisions on. A lot of artists wonder, why do labels make certain decisions? You will see yourself as a label owner and you will understand when an artist demands something, why a label sometimes says no. Because there's so many other factors to consider. How much stuff you've hired, your daily wage, your daily revenue, the upcoming show, the cost of the upcoming show. You're already committed to a music video for this other artist. Now this one wants 200,000 for their music video. I like you, but I might have to decline. Their happiness will be affected. It doesn't mean you're a bad manager. That's something the simulator starts teaching you, that there are sacrifices in our business. You've signed 5 artists. To keep them all happy is very difficult. Maybe sign less artists. Maybe focus on 1. So all those decisions are left to you on the simulator. You have 50 days in simulator days to make as much money as possible, and the score is recorded. 50 days to run a label. Every time you answer a question, the day goes forward. So you get one scenario a day. You can do whatever you want in this game, but when you answer the scenario, it goes day 2, right? If you go bankrupt, it's game over. You can go bankrupt from the very first day the game starts. If you make the wrong decision, you start off with 150,000 rands to start off your label. There are artists that are more than 150,000 rands to sign already as an option. There are contracts and deals that will cost you more than 150. You can commit to them, but when you try to go to the next day, you go bankrupt and that's game over. Okay? You can also be a mogul, where you achieve legendary reputation status, where every single decision gains your respect, makes your artist a little happier, makes you a little more money. And we start counting moguls in this little game of ours after 100 million rands. So that's the challenge. I get 100, 200 consistently. Not only because I built the game, but because I actually know the music terminology that's being used. For example, a scenario might pop up where they say, Bushfire books you. This is one of the scenarios. Bushfire books you for their next event and would like to use your performance for their documentary. What should you do? Allow them, charge them, limit their scope. Those sound like all good ideas to me, right? But there's only one excellent answer. There's only one good answer and there's one bad answer in every scenario. And each one of those options has a cash reward or a negative cash reward. So the bushfire one, the correct answer would be limit their scope. You make more money as a creative when someone asks to use your material by licensing it to them and setting the term that you're only allowed to use this for the next 3 months. If you use it longer than that, I'll have to charge you again. Either you stop using it or I keep invoicing you. So you limit their scope. And if you select that option, you make money. It says, great answer, great decision. You just made 20,000. Your artists are happy. Day 2, let's go. Another scenario. See, so the scenarios are designed by a music exec. I take pride in that. It's one of the marketing unique selling points of the game. The Eswatini Resource Center will have many other games. I'm focusing on this one because it's all my mind is on these days. It's all we're building. It's like, I can't sleep without adding one line of code. Like, yeah, maybe the spacebar, the new game thing should be this side, right? It's an exciting journey for me. I feel like you guys, in a sense, like I'm trying to get something off the ground, you know? So I'm not actually using Swazi Jive to market this yet. So you guys are like the first people I've ever told outside of my team that we're building this product. People that follow me on Twitter have seen 1 or 2 tweets where I say, click this link, check it out, give me feedback. And the super fans are doing that. They're actually playing, DMing me. SK, you know what would be cool? If the artist could talk to the staff members. You know what would be cool, SK? If instead of day 50, you have run competitions where it's sometimes 100 days and you give out prizes on social media. Then I go, actually, those are cool ways to get us all to engage. Let me build a leaderboard where every month I give a prize to the Eswatini's Music Mogul. That works with the brand. It also teaches people, you know. So Startup Grind, all my friends that actually are serious about life, I'll have to engage them. It's not a choice. I have to engage them with this sort of program. It affects all of us, how well this simulation will do, you know. We're going to have to figure out how Startup Grind fits into a simulation like that. Right now, just give an example. This is all AI-based, by the way, if you remember. Right now, what we're figuring out, we can license the in-game artists and make them real, actual artists. So I'm going to have a young Zesh in the game that you have to unlock. Just like when you play FIFA or any of these international games, you're playing with Messi. How about I get to play with a local artist in a game? But I have to figure out a business model to get those people paid because I'll be using their image rights. So you see, I'm in a deeper level of the music business now where I'm trying to come up with more unique products, and artists from local to all over Africa are willing to be a part of this journey, right? So I might have very cool artists put this game out. I might not even be the one to market this. You might see an artist say, hey, try download this. That is the aim of this resource center, to get the industry experts to share information in an educational manner, but also entertaining manner. And games, we've discovered, is the best way to do that, right? So be all and end all of that is AI will help Swazi Jive create games. Not all my games will be educational. I will have a first-person shooter here or there, you know. But the idea is gaming, just like concerts, involves all of us. The designers, the sound designers, the graphic designers, the environment designers, the programmers. Gaming creates an economy again, just like a festival, you know. So people have been asking me to bring back the festival. It's too risky. How about we do this? How about I build a game studio where we'll all work for it, and that product success is our responsibility. If people play it, we all win. If people don't, we go back to the drawing board, right? I can ask the photographers, go do 3D scans of Manzini. We're going to have an open world game in Manzini, about a young boy who's a gangster in Manzini. We're going to start telling our own stories. AI is empowering us to do things we grew up thinking were impossible. Like, I've always had PlayStations in my life. I never thought I could create a PlayStation game, right? And then I realized I'm an entertainer myself. I could also have a game on the PlayStation store that Swazis go and download and play. And I know they would. How come I'm not in that side of the industry? AI has empowered Swazi Jive to feel like they can finally get into the gaming industry, which is bigger. You can research this now. The gaming industry is bigger than the film and music industry combined, times 10. Okay? So AI is helping me get to my next level. Figure out how it's going to help me get. It doesn't have to be the top immediately. I believe if I tried AI when I started, I would have used it for the very same things you guys left to get past those low hurdles. Now this is the hurdle I like to overcome. I have AIs that program for me. So I have a programmer, but I actually send him code that I think is best because this thing is a system. I don't know. I read HTML, I read CSS, I can do JavaScript, but there's limitations when I'm doing Python. These are all coding languages. Some of the programmers in the room know these. But I can't do Python that well. Python, the functions can get confusing for me. But functions are very important for gaming, for how the game will interact, how the elements will interact. If I say it's a soccer game, then you try to kick the ball and it doesn't roll like a ball, you'll never play my game again, you know? So the physics of the game, it's code, it's programming. AI, I don't even know what I'm doing. I just tell this thing, give me the code to make this nice. And then it makes it nice. And I go nicer. If you guys aren't using this and you think there's there's honor in working hard, there isn't. I just want to be clear. Yeah, like I'm a hard worker. I mean, I'm getting type of business plan in AI. It's not the era for that. You at least start off with it and figure out maybe how to format your letter or learn something from it. It can teach you how to structure your letters. Something so you don't have to say what it's saying, but oh, Yati, I wouldn't have put this like this. So AI is just that for us. It matters the order of things. In programming, it's even more important because one line of code that doesn't make sense breaks the whole program. Okay? So I'm in a game I'm enjoying because I can't make mistakes. I've become that much of a lunatic in entertainment. But I'm like, give me more. Programming is hard. Give me that. You know, and AI is allowing me to overcome so many challenges in that space. I feel like I've learned a new skill. On my LinkedIn, I've actually added programming as one of my new skills, just to show you the impact AI is having on me also personally. If we have time, next time maybe I'll come by with artists and we'll play music after a startup grind session. I'll play music we've made with AI, beats, where we've mixed traditional method of creating with the new age method of creating. We have old records we've remixed, we're going to put out that we think the audience will enjoy, that we've reimagined with AI. There's instruments we never had in the past that we're using AI to make. Excuse me. For example, I added trumpets and a guitar on a song I felt needed trumpets and a guitar while in my room. It only took me 20 minutes to pick the right guitar melody, maybe another 5 minutes to pick the right trumpet melody. And the song, when I put it out, immediately did well on Spotify, did okay on YouTube. I won't say it did well, we weren't marketing it, but it did close, going for 1,000 views in like 2 weeks, you know, and this is something that was an experiment, you get me? We're trying to figure out, can we create with this thing? Does the audience mind? Can you guys even tell the difference when the drum was made by a real person, Fruity Loops or AI? I don't think so. So we're also learning as we're using it that, hey, this thing might be riskier than we think. Some of my producers do feel their jobs are at risk because I'm sending the material straight, it sounds ready. I'm like, yo, what do you think, bro? And they can't even see where they fit in. You see, so some of my team members do feel threatened because my productivity is not a good thing for them. You see, so I'm also still trying to balance that. If I'm too bro, if I can get 10 things done in like an hour, I struggle to, like, why am I sending you on WhatsApp? I'll show you when I'm finished because I just need you to tell me if this thing's nice or not. So people around me are finding themselves just being feedback loops. I'm working with AI full time. And so I'm trying to balance that too. I'm serious, this is like I'm sure they're gonna have therapy for AI in like 10, 15 years. Right now, we just don't understand it. But once you guys start getting used to how quickly you get things done, how professional it is, and how much it actually increases your reputation. When you're able to reply an email in like 2 minutes with everything a person needs, they're happier. They're not mad at you. They're like, did you use AI to reply to me? No, they don't care. Sometimes I actually read, on a closing note, I actually read a message from a fan who had said submitted music, and I could tell that his message was AI. First thing I could tell was the length of his message. I'm like, this guy's praising me the first 2 paragraphs. No one has the time to do that. You know, I had to like reverse engineer the message myself. Like, this is ChatGPT. This guy said you are authentically amazing in the local. I'm like, no, who talks like that? Yeah, you know, it's just using big words back to back. I'm like, yeah, AI. So there's that, you know, try to remain human in your interactions also, but know when to use it. Like when I'm text Mr. Shaba, I'm not using ChatGPT. Only once when we were designing the bio, I said, I'd like to prompt this. Let's prompt it and see what comes out. I actually declared that I'm not going offline. I'm going to use AI and I'm coming back to our conversation. And then we looked at the prompt together, right? I think that's an ethical thing. No one told me to do this. No one asked me to do this. I just figured out that maybe we should start sharing that, hey, I did this with AI, so I still need to edit it. What do you think? Rather than submitting something like it's your own work, right? So you'll notice on social media, we do declare that we've used AI on some of these products. Yeah, we declare. You'll see on my Instagram, if there's AI, it says AI info. You can click on it and see exactly where we use the AI. It's also important for me to stick to those guidelines of declaring because I don't know in future if there'll be takedown notices. Like if you used AI in your videos that didn't declare, they're null and void. You can't make money. You can't monetize. You know, even my publisher, just we didn't get into what a publisher is, but I assume people know. The people that take my music and go collect my royalties for me are American. My publisher asks me to declare if I've used AI in any element of the song, because the publisher's job is to, okay, they care about the beat, the melody. The structure of a song is a publisher's job. The record label is distributing and marketing. They don't care how your beat is, what the lyrics say. Labels just put out your music. Publisher monetizes your music. So if someone says something you also said in a song, It's your publisher's job to take that other person's music down because they say something similar. If someone uses your beat but says something else, it's your publisher's job to take that music down and say, you can't use Sakhile's beat. That's Sakhile's beat. You know Sakhile copyrighted this first. So the publisher has now asked us to declare when we've used AI because even they can't tell. I want you guys to see how deep this is. So my publisher is relying on my integrity to say I used it or didn't. It's a completely new world. That's why I want to leave it on that note. That's why I also feel like I'm just getting started. The only advantage I say I have is I have very well-known brands that will help me push my minimal viable products to market very quickly. So the moment I get a working idea, and I'm sure it's going to work, I already have the platforms to get it to thousands of people. It's literally a matter of me going on my social media management app and putting that idea out. And, you know, depending on how well it's created, sometimes, you know, we get 30, 40,000 views in a single day for something we put out. You know, and on that note, the last thing, the second part of the question, what would I like to leave?
Yeah, maybe in a statement.
I'd like to leave you guys with a few Bible verses. Is that okay? We started this with a prayer. I think it's nice we ended with some. I wrote, have you seen my phone? Oh, I forgot. I wrote down, yeah, it's switched off. Okay, it's fine. I'll talk about them because I remember them. You know, the reason I want to end with Bible verses is because Laswati Nisiati can be very challenging. And like I said, one of the questions, I think this is where my success comes from. The word is very magical. The word can influence other people's hearts. Yeah, the word, especially if you're trying to get sponsorships, you want to make money, but you haven't prayed, good luck. These people don't like you. Most of these people are corrupt if you haven't informed yourself. So if you go in there, you haven't prayed, you haven't guarded your heart, likelihood of you succeeding is very low. I'll be honest with you. You know? So 2 verses that stuck with me. I'm sure you guys realize I pray a lot and I'm trying to memorize verses. You know? Daniel 6 verse 3. You guys can Google to see if I'm accurate. Daniel 6 verse 3. Chapter 6 verse 3 is about you being distinguished and a chosen person above other people you think are important in society because you live a righteous life. I think that one's important for us entrepreneurs because we're the ones who bring the vision to the business. And if you're not living a righteous life, you won't be distinguished. The Bible is clear that you'll only be distinguished if you obey certain terms. The other one that I really, really liked was Numbers 23, verse 20. Can someone maybe read that one? Numbers 23, verse 20. Then we'll end it on that note. That one I think is also relevant. Any verse I say you must know is relevant to an entrepreneur. That's how I do my Bible study. I literally say Bible verses relevant to entrepreneurs. Or I watch someone called Myron Golden on YouTube. He has Bible study sessions. Myron Golden fan, shout out. Myron Golden is such an influence over my Bible study sessions as an entrepreneur. He speaks from a very practical, I'd say I'm a practical guy. I don't like being too fancy with my words. He's like that with the Bible, and I find that so important. Where he shares with you, if you're going through challenges, there's Bible verses about that. If you want hope, there's Bible verses about that. And the sessions are broken down. So if you type Myron Golden, did anyone pull out Numbers 23, verse 20? Okay, please read it out.
Behold, I have received commandment to bless, and he has blessed, and I cannot reverse it.
Yeah, I have received commandment to bless, and he hath blessed, and I cannot reverse it. I think that's important for us as Swazis. We're always talking about rumors. This verse is important for us entrepreneurs, so we feel untouchable. And when I read that verse, I'm like, I don't care if you come with the greatest witch from the south. I'm untouchable because Numbers 23 verse 20 says so. I am blessed and you can't reverse it. I feel like some of us need to hear that probably more often. You know, I go through so many challenges, you'd wonder how I remain so positive. It's these words, I promise you. If I share with you this week, challenges are faced. You'd be like, how did you even make it here today? You know? But these study sessions in the morning, before I send out proposals, before I email people, or even engage my friends on what I'm doing, sharpen my mind so much. They remind me who I am, why I'm doing what I'm doing, whether it's building a game, AI, when I'm busy playing with AI, I need everything to align with my spiritual life. Okay? So that's why maybe you won't see Swazi Jive brand on OnlyFans or us signing models that will run around naked. It doesn't align with the leader's spiritual convictions. Okay? I'd like to leave it on that note. I hope today was useful and you got something out of it. Thank you, Startup Grind. I appreciate you guys. I also appreciate Market Lounge. I definitely would like to be a member. I didn't know about the meetings. I just get invited to these cool things and I speak. But I also want to be a part of the community. I live Ezulwini, so I'll come when I can. I know this is the Manzini chapter. Yeah. But please do invite us often. Okay. There's other young people who are just like you that aren't as comfortable sharing their ideas. I work a lot with them. They trust me to protect them from this crazy world. I mentor a lot of young people, as young as I am myself, and they trust that when they share ideas with me, that people won't see them like they're crazy, because they've seen me do crazy things. So, you know, because they almost embarrassed that they have an idea. That's the sort of society we live in. And I'm very proud. I want you guys to hear this. I'm very proud of each and every one of you for on a Friday coming out, Friday afternoon. I know some of our friends started drinking yesterday. They were wondering, why are you even going to the library? You know? So I used to be like you. People could tell you even in university, if there was a business conference, someone coming to talk, I was there. I was there. Even before Swazi Jive, I was there. And sometimes you pick up one thing from a whole 2-hour session like today, sometimes nothing, but keep showing up. I once picked up something that's random from a talk at school that I'll share with you. Some Arab guy came there invited him to talk about entertainment. This was in 2012, bro. Okay. And this guy said, the future of entertainment is short form videos. So you guys don't know what that is because there's no platform that does short form videos yet. But we've invested in this thing called Snapchat. You guys are going to see that in the next year or so. So if you see Snapchat, download it and think of me. Yes, bro, you all know Snapchat. But I heard about Snapchat a year before it came out or something like that, you know, because I attended an event like this, you know. So you never know. You never know who you're around. You never know. There's definitely some millionaires and billionaires in this room, and you'll meet them. You'll go to a person like, yo, I was with you in that group in Manzini. I see you in the Lambo. I need some help. You know, so take this seriously. Try use Startup Grind as a directory. If you're not comfortable taking each other's numbers directly, ask Mr. Lushaba to create a list of everyone's number and name and just put it up on the Startup Grind platform where you guys can access it. I've seen that work well with other groups, and it's kept me connected with people that I never thought I'd need. And then I go back to that list years later, like, yo, there was someone in that group who did chickens. Let me check. You know, so that's what I see this group as. I see there's event managers in here I heard talking that I'd like to engage. There's a lady that spoke well, our program director. You spoke very well yourself. So I'm positioning. I'm always trying to position people. It's my job as an entrepreneur. And I hope you guys are doing the same with me. Like, not just listening to me, like, yo, how can I position a guy like Sakhile in my line of business? Where can Sakhile be impactful? When do I start engaging someone like Sakhile? You know, not too early. I like early stages, but not too early. If you want to get the most out of me, you'll know. But I'm availing myself through Mr. Al-Shaba, my number, my email, whatever you need. Whoever has a question, we can talk. If there's no questions, it's fine. Yeah.
There are questions.
Recently, okay, I was a person that didn't believe in my country, but then I'm meeting with a whole lot of humans and through, you know, innovation and idea sharing. I'm getting to know that I'm not a weird one.
Yeah, we're all weird.
But I'm happy to find this knowledge and knowing that I have a lot to learn. That is even more impeccable. I need to know from you. Since now, let's say whatever I want to do, or then I want to start a music, a label, or a studio for podcasting. I need a license in a way, or a company, or whatever. Okay, follow formalities. But then you find that because I'm in Swaziland, it's not like in South Africa where you can just open your phone and start a company. You have to, that's in your side. For sure, and you have to have for 2,000. And you find out in the e-commerce sector, you can do it yourself at 650, but even then, if you don't have connections, it's not even gonna work. You know, even if you pay it step by step on your own, it's not gonna pass, or you're not gonna get that license. So I recently had an amazing story. This girl's My Coils. I don't know if you're yes, this brilliant company. I found out that she actually registered it in South Africa.
Okay.
But then she is, marketing and branding it here. And I was like, what a brilliant woman.
Yeah.
So I want to know if you did the same. Did you license your company, or because I hear you working in different, almost all over the world, if I can put it like you, internationally, global. So how did you set that up for yourself?
Mine's registered here in Swaziland. There's no other country. We're about to register in Botswana as well. Okay, I can share this up. You guys are entrepreneurs. This is like our daily life. Talk about registration and company documents every day. The reason we want to register in Botswana is because the type of activities we want to do now need us to have alcohol licenses under the business name, not lending from a friend or something like that, which is probably what some of your South African friends are doing here. There's some things they can't get done through our banking system because it's registered in SA, for example. So I registered here because operations were here. There's some operations moving to Botswana, so we have to register the company there. In the US, it's not registered. Okay. But besides the registration thing, I hear you on the challenges. And I must mention, my father is the CEO of Youth Enterprise Fund. And over the years, I've managed to convince him that they've done a horrible job as a fund, and we needed to be more relevant to young people. And as of recently, I do believe they're trying to de-risk or make it easier to register, to start your business, specifically for young people. So I'd encourage you to say, Yati, I was a startup grind. I actually have numbers, just my phone died. I hope I can charge it. But I will share numbers with Mr. Shaba, where you can literally say to these people, I was a startup grind. Sakhile said, you're the right person to talk to. I'd like help with registering and mentorship. I don't have the money, but I hear you guys do. The reason I'm saying started like that is because for the longest time, I used to share that a lot of people would like to get into business, Laswati, or do things, but there's all these invisible barriers. Some of them you discover when it's too late. You didn't know you had to do this. And luckily for me, when I started with events, it was through a friend like Sabelo. Headcount, it wasn't a Swazi Jive company. It wasn't a Swazi Jive brand. But Swazi Jive, when I was starting it, got the opportunity from these guys who had a business registered, had Sprite, Swaziland Beverages sponsoring them. So Swazi Jive as a brand just attached itself on the forefront. We were not the businessmen during headcount time. We were just the kids who were trying to get an opportunity. I became the businessman when I finally registered my company 3 years after doing headcount events. I believe Swazi Jive was registered in 2011 or something. Started the registration process in 2011. I think I renewed my first license in 2013 based on my records. Swazi Jive started in 2008. Okay, you see how much of a mess this thing is. But I only registered and finished in 2013. Now, I'm able to find my company documents. You want corporate certificate, SRA is here, they had to do Sakhile, hey, do you want their money? Yes, there's license. Yeah. I became the king of that only after 2013. So I wouldn't say don't comply. Compliance documents are very important, especially when you're tendering. We've gone for MTN tenders where there's events. As an entertainment company, you find money is drying up. And a company puts out to say, hey, we need stage and sound. And they're normally willing to pay way above the cost of this thing. And we deal with stages and sound every day. Maybe we even have one, you see? So applying for the tender is the hard part because they need things. The stage and sound is, they don't ask for pictures of your stage and sound. They don't care how your stage and sound looks. They're like, are you sound is compliant with the law? Are you sure that you have your license? Show us your trading license. Show us your corporate certificate. So with your businesses, think of where you are, what you want to use it for, but don't incur costs that are unnecessary. And it's not like in Swaziland, they're so active, they're going around checking, hey, you announced that you have a label, certificates are going. No one's checking that. And because our industry is so informal, they actually helped us get away with a lot of things that we otherwise couldn't have gotten away with if we were in another industry. For example, if Swazi Jive was a restaurant, I wouldn't be telling you, I started in 2008, but I registered in 2011. There's no way you're going to start a restaurant, feed people for 3 years and you have no licenses. You know what I'm saying? That's impossible. So the fact that some things are informal works to our advantage. And I think it's up to us as youth to figure out, hey, this is still informal, let me take advantage of it. But where it is formal and you can't get around it, sort it out. Because it's like opening a bank account, they will ask for your company certificate. You can't negotiate with the bank. You know, if you want a black card, I used to have a black card with Swazi Jive on it. I really thought it was cool once upon a time in my life to be flashing black cards. And I know you guys understand why. You can go get a black card for yourself at F&B if you register a company properly, put some money in it, and they'll give you a black card. Okay? Whether there's 0 emalangeni in that black card or 100 million, the card remains black. So we used to use those things to get by. In entertainment industry, sometimes it's about perceptions. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking specifically about my industry. Figure out what compliance means. Right? There's no rule around having a black card and no money in it. Right? But I had to have all the compliance documents to get that card. Right? So let's make sure we get the card. I'll put 20,000 in that thing. But once the card turns black, right? Perception. That worked for us. It might not work for you. But in my opinion, try, if you can afford it, comply at every step. The people do have a tendency when you do blow up to go check everything. I've had SRA check everything since I was 16. You know, that Lambo announcement was cool until it wasn't. It's like, how did you buy a 10 million rand car, sir? You guys know I'm famous. Compliance. There was a whole lot of South African owners trying to buy shares, but I didn't put the money in my Swazi account. I'm not going to do that because I know they're going to attack it. Compliance. I couldn't even get the car through the border because of the paperwork now. Because, you know, so compliance is a serious thing. So it doesn't matter how cool your Lambo is. If you don't comply and you don't register things properly, you can't operate here. So also figure out where. That's why the 4 P's of marketing are important. Place. Where are you operating from? Are you a physical location or are you online retailer? That's still place. Sometimes making the decision to stay online is still a decision. Like I won't open a physical location because I don't have the compliance documents to upkeep the shop. But if you sell waffles like Waffle Palace around the corner, maybe staying online isn't a good idea. I have to pay for those compliance documents. So you evaluate where your business lies. Yeah.